Hello. Oh, have I let everyone in? I just want to say I'm really sorry for being 1 minute late. I was doing a meditation and I set it for 5 minutes, thinking that a bell would go off after 5 minutes. And after a while, I was like, it's really lovely and relaxing, but it feels like it's been longer than 5 minutes. And then I luckily saw it was 7:59. I was like, just lying there, kind of meditating for the next 20 minutes without. So I'm terribly sorry, but it was very nice. And I don't know about you, but I certainly needed it. So we're going to have a nice little relaxation bit at the end today. So guys, do unmute yourself if you need to say anything, or sorry about this weird light, it'll be better when I'm on my mat. And I want you to make sure you've got pillows or a pillow, and if possible, like a blanket or something, because we're going to do the relaxation at the end, and it's actually quite chilly. So just make sure you've got, you know, coziness around you. And I hope you're all okay. It's lovely to see you. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, blimey. That's January's gone on for about 700 years. So we're going to start standing. If you've got your band, shout if you haven't got a band, because it doesn't matter, obviously, if you haven't got one. But we are using one, so you can just substitute with nothing if you don't want to use one. We're going to start standing. So taking yourself to a comfortable standing position. See, there we go. There's my bolster on my mat. That's where I was doing my meditation. Innocently thinking that the time was just going very slowly. So starting standing, I'm actually going to change this light because it is a bit spotlighty, isn't it? And maybe taking yourself against the wall if you quite like that sense of being grounded and connected through the feet, but also through the back body. It's quite nice, but otherwise no problem if not. Just take your feet hip width apart and take a moment to kind of organize yourself consciously. Now, you may or may not have been doing some Pilates over the past month or so, but I don't know about you, but I find Pilates and yoga very different in terms of the mindset. So I've done lots of yoga recently, but hardly any Pilates. And suddenly I was like, oh, it feels completely different to organize yourself in a Pilates way. So placing your feet directly underneath the bony parts of your pelvis. Thinking about a sense of lift and length out through the waist, rising up through the rib cage and lengthening out through the crown of your head. And just softening your eyes, closing them if that feels comfortable, or maybe just soften your gaze softly down through the nose. But imagine those three orientation spots of the body, so the head, the rib cage, the heart center, and the pelvis. And see whether you can balance those 3 points in line with each other. Thinking about where they are in relation to your ankle joints, your heels as well. So notice the pelvis, is it balanced slightly forward at the heels, or can you feel like the tailbone is lengthening down just about in line with the heel? The center of the pelvis in line with the ankle joint. The rib cage, do you feel like you're tilted forward, slinging back? Can you balance it directly above that pelvic space? The back of the head, does it feel like the chin's lifted, chin's dropped? See if you can have the chin softly lining up with the floor, with the ceiling. And just breathe into that space. Let's do a little breath, just opening up through the arms, breathing in to rise the arms up to the sides. Only as far as the shoulders, maybe a little bit higher if that feels nice, and then breathing out, pressing them down. Maybe for a count of 4 or 5 each time, breathing in and out. And as you gather into this breath, notice if you breathe in, if you can imagine the ribs and the lungs expanding out with the fingertips and softly closing as the arms release back. And again, 2 or 3 more of these. Being conscious of the shoulders trying to keep them away from the ears if you can. So the lift and length comes from below and around the shoulder blade and the ribs and not above the shoulder blade. So keep those shoulders nice and soft away from the ears. Last one. And press the arms down. And then just let the arms softly hang from their sockets. So feeling like the arms connect into the body, you're not rolling them forward, but see if you can just let the fingertips be quite nice and heavy. So again, notice where they are lying in line with your body. So are they rolled completely forward naturally? Do you feel like that's your natural stance? And see if you can just bring the shoulder blades a little bit towards each other so the arms rest softly in line with the body. So we're not necessarily making them regimented and lengthened, but I want you to feel like there's a sense of opening through the front of the armpit here a little bit. Breathing in here, just a couple of breaths to feel kind of naturalized in this standing position. And then on your next out breath, let's lengthen the back of the neck, peeling the head off an imaginary wall or go against the wall if you want to, and we're rolling ourselves down bone by bone. Head really heavy, hands and arms heavy, knees bent as much as you need them to be. So it's really nice, it can be a nice hamstring stretch, but I want you to feel like you're not allowing the bum to rest all the way back. We want to keep the bum poised as much as possible over the ankles. So heaviness through the toes as well, breathing in, breathing out, rolling back up. Let the shoulder blades soften on the back, the armpits gently open through the front again. So we're coming back to that open collarbone stance at the top. Breathing in, breathing out, eyes down, lengthen through the back of the neck. Think about the lift through the front of the body like a slinky toy as you roll forward. Soft knees, as much as you need them to bend, allow them to bend. The head is soft and heavy, breathing in at the bottom. Feel that breath opening into the rib cage. Let the shoulders really soften on the back. And as you breathe out, consciously lift a little bit through your lower belly now to help you rebuild. So with each roll, I want you to be more conscious of that abdominal connection to help you get back up, restacking bone upon bone. Shoulders connecting to the back. Head rebuilds at the end of the neck. Shoulders soften at the top as you breathe in. And out, eyes down, chin down. Roll yourself down. Really let yourself relax the neck. So on this one, let's just nod the head yes. Shake the head no. Maybe even a couple of shoulder rolls. Maybe take the elbows, bend those knees as much as you need to. Breathing in. Relaxing the arms down, breathing out. Let's roll up. And remember, you can always use your hands to help you guide yourself up if you're feeling a little bit vulnerable in the lower back. Make sure you give yourself that connection and protection you need. Let's do one more. Taking a breath in, pausing at the top. And breathing out. Lifting through the abdominals as you roll forward. Breathing in. Now, on the way down, it might be impossible. If your band is anywhere near, just grab hold of the band on this roll down position. If not, don't worry, you can always just find it when you come back up and restacked. We're going to roll up with the band in our hands. And we're going to take the band. I hope my internet isn't being weird, by the way, guys. I'm sorry. Let me know. Do let me know if it is. I don't know what I'll be able to do about it now, but it's good to know so that I can change something for next time. We're going to take the band and place it around the mid-back area. So around kind of the lower ribs. We want to really feel like, as much as possible, we've got a nice wide band as well. So see if you can make sure it's not totally scrunched up. And then feed the band through the thumb and the palm this way. So we're just softly holding it. And you can sit down for this or stand up, so whichever you prefer. But I want you first to just softly connect either palms together or just have the arms kind of giving yourself a little hug. And I want you to take a breath in and see if you can feel that sense of width pressing on either side of the band. And even we're going to just softly press in the opposite direction with the in-breath. Feel like you're breathing against your own strength. And breathe out. Allow it to release. So same if your hands are together, just breathing into that soft pressure. And breathing out. Notice again whether we can keep any energy below the collarbone. So we want to feel like this energy is coming out and through the sides of the rib cage, but not rising up into the shoulders towards the ears. So see if you can just check in with the neck if you need to, and allow this to be a lovely exercise in finding that space and width in the rib cage. 2 more, breathing in. And out, last one. Breathe in. And then let's just take the elbows into the waist and keep the palms nice and long. So imagine and just check in with where the palms are in relation to your elbows. So are they up here? See if you can keep them in line with the elbows as if you're carrying a tray of champagne or tea and biscuits. Take a breath in, lengthen through the crown of your head. And as you breathe out, let's open the arms out to the side and come back through center. See if you can maintain that same sort of height of the palms. So again, we're not lifting up. We want to laterally open and back through center. And again, open. See if you can notice if the spine is wanting to pop, and keep a sense of that balance between the ribs, the hips, the head. So we're trying not to tip. We're trying to keep everything lovely and balanced. And it's just a movement in the top of the shoulder joint. So kind of that little lever opening through that armpit area. And back through center now. On this next one, we're going to just open it a little bit wider. So breathing in nice and tall, breathing out, open through the side, and then just lengthening out as far as you can go, resisting that energy of the band, but without shoulders popping to the ears. And then elbows draw back into the waist, fingertips come forward. Let's do that 3 more times. So open. Think about the ribs softly connecting to hips. So find that gentle abdominal engagement as you lift the arms. Elbows come back in. 2 more, open and reach. So you're feeling this in the arm muscles, so around the triceps and the biceps, but also I want you to notice the mid-back area, how you have to keep that stable, and from the rib cage, oblique area, stabilizing through the shoulder, through the front of the body. And then relax down. Let's just take the band. And then from here, take the band out through the front of you. Now either, I'm going to go on my knees just so that you can see where I am, but so you can sit down, come on your knees, or stay standing. So whichever feels comfortable for you. And we're going to take the band quite wide, and you might need to adjust it according to how tight you're feeling on the shoulders and how much you want to kind of work against the band, if you see what I mean. We can let the band work with us or against us. So I want you to let the shoulders soften, so maybe a couple of shoulder rolls. And then float the arms up towards the ceiling. So we've already worked a little bit into this shoulder joint, but I want you here just to let the shoulders rise, just to see what that feels like, and then soften them down. So a few times, keeping the band kind of just in line with the top of the head. We're going to lift and then lower. Lift and lower. So maybe this is quite a good exercise in noticing how your shoulders like to hang around your ears, like big earrings at the moment, so trying to release them down might feel weirder on one side than the other. And then from here, just wrapping the fingertips round softly, or you don't have to keep a lengthened finger if that's okay for you. We're going to reach with the band and not with the shoulders to lengthen the arms back behind you. And then lengthen back up, soft shoulders, and lift. So what we're not doing is moving the head. We want to imagine the band is just gently releasing as we stretch into that area around the front of the armpits. And then lengthen. Notice if you're lifting and squeezing, try and keep this a free movement through the shoulder blade. It might be really, really challenging and feel a bit too much. So only do 1 or 2 if it feels like it's too much. And then we're going to lift up and release all the way down. If you are standing up, rolling all the way down. If you're not standing up, that's fine. Just roll forward and let the head completely soften. So we just want to counterbalance, let everything be nice and soft. Breathe in. Breathing out, rebuilding. Letting the shoulders connect into the back once more. We're floating the arms now. And then from here, I want you to really notice where your pelvis is. So have a think, let's try and twist the pelvis from side to side. So keeping the ribs and the arms, I want you to kind of wiggle your hips a little bit, just to see how that feels. So having that sense of, okay, what happens when my pelvis moves? And then I want you to bring the pelvis back to center. And let's try and move the rib cage without moving the pelvis. So feel like if we come to the left first, imagine that right hip is pivoting back a little bit. Now let's just straighten the arms to bring the band alongside the back of the shoulders. And then lift. And then come back through center. So the key here is not to strain too fast. I don't want you to be here and then desperately trying to get the band behind your head. I want you to move with your comfort movement. So only go as far as you feel you can open the arms in line with your shoulder blades. Okay, and lift back up and back through center. So it might be a very gentle rotation and that's totally fine. We want to try and keep the pelvis stable. So we're not wiggling those hips. Keep the hips square to the front of your mat. I'm hitting my ponytail. Back through center. Last one. So it might feel, if you haven't done any Pilates for a while, this might feel like probably quite a lot of work going on through the rib cage. So let's release down, little roll down all the way, or if you're sitting, just maybe fold yourself forward. And you can leave the band on the ground, breathing in, breathing out. Restack. Bone upon bone. Relaxing the shoulders. And then coming back into that standing position, so that conscious standing position, notice how different, if at all, you feel right now. So just softening your gaze inward again, closing the eyelids. Notice how the body feels. So notice any sensations that you're feeling through the rib cage area, through the shoulder joints, maybe even into the neck, maybe the abdominals if you're feeling that they've woken up a little bit through the front body. Notice if you're more aware of where your tailbone, your pelvis is. All of these things. So just gently kind of meditating on those parts of your body that have started to mobilize. And then let's just do one more roll down. Let's take a breath in, and as you breathe out, lengthen through the back of the neck, rolling down bone by bone. Breathing in, breathing out, restack. Head comes up last, shoulders connecting into the body. And now you've done the standing bit. Now we can get down onto the mat. So coming down into your relaxation position, if you need a pillow, make sure you've got a pillow close by. Pillow for underneath your head or for later on for your relaxation. And we're going to carry on using the band. So I want you to have that close by as well. And either warming up the abdominals just a little bit, rolling yourself down, or just lower yourself in whichever way feels comfortable and supported if your spine doesn't feel quite ready to work the abdominals by rolling down. So we're just coming into this relaxation position. And I want you really to, again, as we did when we were standing, thinking about those 3 points of orientation, heavy parts of the body, pelvis, heart center, head. And see if you can balance them in line with each other on the mat. Either with the hands on the pelvis or down on the ground, whichever helps you to kind of allow there to be a sense of heaviness through the pelvis. Lengthening the feet, so all 10 toes connecting down into the mat underneath you. Relaxing the shoulders, think about that space in front of the armpits, the collarbones wide. Lengthening the back of the neck. Now, as you breathe, imagine that same sense of breathing into the band. And now imagine that band is just lying underneath the bottom rib on the mat. See if you can still find it. So breathing deeply and widely into the mat behind you. And as you breathe out, let's try and switch on the abdominal muscles, the pelvic floor, and see if we can really activate that whole kind of unit in between the ribs and the hips here. So on the out breath, lifting back, passage through to front, softening the rib cage down, imagining a kind of cinching through the waist. So imagine that you're kind of drawing a band around your waist softly, and then breathe in, let it open and release. Breathing out, lifting back, passage through to front. Really try and activate that whole abdominal kind of area, but without any movement. So we don't want to be tilting the pelvis here. I want you just to feel that you're really firing up the muscles around that static, stable skeleton. Breathing in, let it relax. 2 more, breathing out. Actively expel the breath through the lips to draw in through your center without any tension. So we're active, but we're not stressing the muscles. The shoulders are soft, the tailbone stays heavy, the feet are soft. Breathe in, relax. Last one, breathing out. Lift, drawing softly through the abdominal, so the rib cage softens, the pelvic connection deepens, lower belly draws in. Breathing in to relax. Arms down, hands down by your side, or hands on the pelvis towards the pubic bone, again, whichever feels better for you. We're going to come into some pelvic tilt. So again, just orientating ourselves with our body in a conscious way. On the out breath, let's just draw the pelvis towards you. So tuck the tailbone underneath you, bring the pubic bone towards your nose, but the head wants to stay quite still. So notice if anything moves through the head and shoulders as you tuck the pelvis and close your lower back into the mat. And then lengthen the tailbone away, finding that hinge in the hip joint. So I want you to try and send the tailbone all the way away. So you're almost coming into a little arch of your back here, but without trying to ping the nose up in the opposite direction. So let's try and keep the head as stable as possible. We're just finding this mobility in the lower part of your body. So little rocks back and forth a few times, lifting the tailbone maybe a little bit up through the bum, keeping that energy into the feet evenly as you lengthen into that soft arch of the back. Don't go into any discomfort, especially if this kind of causes any tension in the lower back for you. Maybe just go to that heavy tailbone without arching. And then back through center. So just like we did with our kind of wiggly hips, now you know your rocky pelvis. We're going to try not to disturb our rocky pelvis, taking our band. So let's take the band, fold your your left knee in, it doesn't really matter, whichever leg. And there's not always an elegant way of doing this. Just wrap the band around your foot and cross the band over. So can you see? I want you to, rather than having either side, take the band across and swap ends. So you've now got a little bit more of a hold on the band, so it's not going to ping, it's less likely to ping. And I want you to come into that single knee fold position. Shoulders relaxed, elbows down. You can have them slightly hovering, but I want you to try and ground as much as possible. And think about your wrist connection. So let's try not to wiggle our wrist too much here. Thinking about that lovely elbow to kind of heel straight line with the band. Check in with your pelvis. Maybe even do a couple of rocks of the pelvis as you just did to notice how different it feels. And then come to a stable, even neutral pelvis where it's in line with the floor. Your back is in its neutral position. And I want you to feel those abdominal muscles connecting. So we're really trying to work into that deep stabilizing core strength here. So take a breath in. As you breathe out, you're going to press the leg away on a diagonal. So we're lengthening away, almost in line with the other thigh. You're going to lower it down. The heel is flexed, so lengthen it away and then lift it back up and then bend it back in. So you're hinging that leg as far as possible without tipping your pelvis. So send it away on the out breath. Let's draw the abdominals in as you lengthen the leg away. Reach it down. We're not necessarily touching the floor, just reaching away and lift. And then bring it back in towards you. We've got 3 more. Press it away. Shoulders heavy, head heavy. Reach that heel away. And lift it up. And then bring it back in. Try and make this a conscious connection to your abdominals. So you're working to stabilize your torso as you press into that heel and lift and draw it back in. Last one, press it away, lower, reach through the back of the leg, lift and then bring it back. Good, now from here you can lengthen that leg up to the ceiling. It doesn't have to straighten, but we want to feel that yawning through the back of that knee joint, trying to find a little stretch through the hamstring. So again, we're not trying to bring it in towards you. I want you to keep the pelvis heavy and lengthen the heel away from your sit bone a little bit. So keep an eye on where your bum is. You can uncross the band if that feels better for you, whatever works. We're just going to come into little circles of the ankle. Trying to work through any tension that might be, any lockdown tension in our feet. And then change direction. And then from here, grounding through this right knee, right foot, right leg, right foot. You're going to hold the band with the left hand and just softly open your left leg out as far as you feel comfortable without tipping to the left. So it might be quite a big stretch or it might just be a gentle stretch in the inner thigh here. Breathe, relax the shoulders, nice heaviness through the right shoulder. And then send the leg down towards the floor in line with the body, and then we're going to lift it up and stand on the ceiling. So kind of big conscious circles, taking it out to the side. Doesn't have to go very far, only as far as you can control it. And then down towards your midline once more and back up. Seeing whether you can keep the torso really stable, opening to the side, and then bring it back. So we're rotating in this thigh bone. We're opening it out and then spinning it down. And we're going to change direction, reverse it. So coming up to the ceiling, now you're going to send it away. So similar movement to the one you've just done, but now opening it out to the side and lifting it back up. So notice whether this supporting leg starts to wander out in opposition. See if you can keep the knee up towards the ceiling. You've got 2 more in this direction, down to the floor, lift it out, up to the ceiling, and lower it down. Last one. Lovely. Then from here, bending this knee in, just fold your right knee in, take the right foot in the band, place the left foot down, and then just cross the band over here. So we're coming back to that crossed position to give you a little bit more support. Notice, so my pelvis, for example, is tilted a little bit here. So notice if you've tucked your pelvis underneath you, see if you can untuck, send the tailbone away, come into a knee fold position without the pelvis rocking into the floor. So really be aware now of that abdominal strength to help keep your pelvis stable. The shoulders want to relax, maybe adjust the shoulder rib cage position if you need to. Breathing in. And as you breathe out, you're sending that leg away, lengthening it in line with the other leg, heel flexed, lower it back down, or lower it down rather, and then lift it up and draw the knee back in towards you without rocking your pelvis. So being aware here of both sides of your pelvis as well. So not just that rocking forward to back, but see whether you can feel an even weight on the back of the hip bones on either side, the sacroiliac joint area. Lengthen the leg away, lower it down, keep the abdominal strong, soft rib cage, lift, bend it in. Last one, send it away. Send the heel away as you lower that leg, opening into the hip. Lift up and bring it back through center. Let's lengthen that leg up to the ceiling. It doesn't have to straighten. You can uncross the band if that feels better and easier. And let's circle the ankle. Oh, my ankle's very clicky. Change direction. Relaxing the shoulders. I'm telling myself that as much as you. So just notice where your lockdown tension is. Mine is definitely in my neck and shoulders. Taking the band in the right hand, you can rest your left hand on that left hip if that helps, or just release it out to the side. And then we're just going to open the band or the leg out to the side as far as feels comfortable without tipping, and then lengthen it down in line with the body and lift it up. And again, open out to the side, heavy left side, trying not to be destabilized by the leg. Okay, so legs, our legs, everyone's legs are heavy compared to the body. So often we might just rock the whole body across. And I want you to consciously counterbalance that weight of your leg. Use your muscles against your own weight. Last one in this direction. And lifting up, we're going to press the leg away. So long leg, reach, reach, reach. And then take it out to the side. My wall is in the way, and then back through center. Send the heel away, long leg. Out to the side, and then back up. Two more, reach it away. Out to the side, and back up. And reach, reach, reach. Out to the side, and back up. Lovely. And then just unhook the band. You can place it to one side. Let's just take the arms nice and wide, palms facing up for now, and the legs mat width apart, little windscreen wiping to release any tension through your hips now. So let's just roll from side to side. Pressing that top hip up, so opening up into the waist and the hip area. Just gently relaxing out through the hip joints. A little gentle rotation is quite nice. And then come back through center. Now we're going to come into our hip rolls. So depending on how your abdominals are feeling, if you feel like they might start to fatigue, we're going to keep the feet down, but I want you to have the feet and knees glued together, whichever position. So whether you're working with the feet down, or we're going to come into that double knee fold position, we're going to always have the legs really snugly held together as if you're wearing one legging on both legs. So thinking about that rib hip connection. So before we start, I want you to take your hands onto the lower ribs, and maybe even if you can, if your hands are big enough, for the expanse, to have your thumb on your lower rib and then your fingertips on the top of your pelvis. So on those two protruding hip bones. Take a breath in and feel that space expanding. And then as you breathe out, see if you can consciously connect and cinch that area. So really deepening the abdominals. And then breathing in, let it soften. And as you breathe out, drawing in and connecting. So we're trying to really find that connecting through this area tonight, this kind of X factor, hip to rib here. So grabbing hold of your band, Let's take the band up towards the ceiling, and we're quite wide through the band. So I want you to have at least shoulder width apart, maybe even a little bit wider, because the movement we're going to be doing to practice before we add in anything else to think about is going to take a breath in. Again, notice the wrist, see if you're kind of bringing the knuckles towards you, see if you can lengthen and be long through that wrist joint. We're going to breathe in. As you breathe out, open your left arm out to the side, keeping the right arm strong and supported. So the movement is this and not this or this, okay? So we're trying to keep that supporting arm really strong as we work against our own body weight. And then back through center, breathing in, breathing out, opening out, hinging at that armpit like a door. And back through center. So that's the movement. Just try one more either side. You don't have to go very far. So if you've got a body control Pilates band that I've given you, for example, it might actually be quite tense, and I don't want you to get any strain by trying to open too much. These are not very loose bands. For example, you're not going to easily go down to the floor without a lot of effort. So don't go crazy on yourself. Relax the shoulders. Let's take a breath in. Let's just before we bring the legs up, let's come into a little bit more rib cage focus. On your out breath, send the arms back behind you, keeping the rib cage heavy. Go as far as you can without the ribs pinging and the shoulders kind of coming into any opening, and then release the arms back to the ceiling. 2 more like that, breathing out, finding that dynamic sort of expulsive breath. And last one. And back through center. So lots of work for the shoulders today. We will do a little bit of stretching at the end, don't worry. So take a breath in. As you breathe out, either we've got that lovely knitted together legs but connecting down onto the floor, or single knee fold one followed by the other into your double knee fold position and glue those knees and hips together. So really have those inner thighs connecting and hugging. Try to make sure you're not hanging off your lower back here, guys. So I want you to feel, if anything, if you need to, close your lower back into the floor. But if possible, see if you can come into a position where you're in a neutral position of your spine. So you've got your natural lumbar curve, your pelvis is neutral, you're not hanging off the pelvis or tucking under. So we want to really get that the lower abdominal area working. Take a breath in. Now we've got nothing for the arms yet, just keeping the arms stable in the center. We're going to come into a hip roll. So take a breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to take the knees across to the left, keeping those knees glued together. So even have a look down, make sure that right knee hasn't peeled back. And then breathing in, come back through center. Breathing out, let's go across to the right, pivoting through the hips, trying to keep those knees absolutely connected, and breathing in back to center. Let's reverse the breathing. So pause here for your out breath. And as you breathe in, come across to the left. And breathe out, fire up the abdominals to bring yourself back through center. Let's go the other way, breathing in to the right. The arms stay through the center, the shoulders relax. If it's too much, take the arms down or take the feet down. So do kind of lower the intensity if it's good, if you're feeling any sort of tension or too much load. It is quite a lot of work, this, especially if we haven't really done any Pilates for a while. Let's come across to the right, breathing out to come back, one more either side. In to come across, out to come back, in to come across, out to come back. You can do it. We're going to then just rest it. Either stay here and pause, or you can bring the feet down. We're going to add in the arm, the opposite arm. So as we come across to the left with the knees, we're going to take the right arm out to the side. And again, don't work in too much pressure with this movement. It doesn't matter how big the movement is. Take a breath in. And breathe out, just gently drawing in through the abdominals, stabilizing, relaxing the shoulders. On your in breath, we're going to take the knees to the left and open the right arm out. You can look to the right as well if that's not too much for your brain to handle. Coming back through center. Other side, in breath. Left arm comes out, the knees come to the right. Breathe out to come back. We're just going to do 2 more either side for this. I know it's probably starting to burn a little bit around the inner thighs, the outer thighs. Maybe the shoulders are beginning to tense up. So breathe and let everything soften, and only use the amount of effort you absolutely need in those stabilizing muscles. Everything else should stay soft. Left arm, knees come to the right. Back through center, just release the band and bring the knees in towards you. Let's just roll from side to side, massaging into the thigh joints. Bringing the left knee in towards you, release that right leg away. So you might feel that that's been quite a lot of load for the hip flexors. So just let the knee maybe sort of massage into that hip circle if you want to, or just have a static stretch, whichever feels right for you. Breathe. And change. Legs, take the right knee in, release that left leg away. And then bring both knees back in towards you. I'm checking out the time. Okay, lovely. So from here, we're going to come into a little bit more abdominal work once more. So I want you to float one leg followed by the other. We're going to take both legs into the band. And we're going to cross the band over again. Unless that feels restrictive and too tight, in which case obviously have an even side on either side, whichever works better for you. Let's check in with the shoulders in this double knee fold position now. We want to make sure you've got a little bit of support here, and you can give yourself that support with the arms. So we really are grounding and offering a bit of support to our abdominals, as well as working our abdominals here. So we're going to take a breath in. And as you breathe out, softly squeezing the legs together, you're going to lengthen the legs away on the diagonal. Now that might be enough for your abdominals, in which case stay there. Otherwise, we're going to lower a little bit down, but only as far as you can go without arching your back, and then lift it back up, lift them back up, and bring them back in through center. So the head stays down, but it doesn't mean that it's not working the abdominals. So I want you to really find that rib-hip connection, drawing in through the lower belly as you send the legs away on the diagonal, and then lower deep in the abdominals here. And lift. Don't lower if it feels like it's going into your lower back in any way. So just staying on that diagonal and back through center. 2 more. Send it away. And lower back down if you can without it going to your lower back, and lift. And then bring it in. Last one. Send it away. And lower. And lift. And bring it back. Now from here, we're going to try a little bit of a curl up. So let's see how we feel about this. We're just going to do, I'll show you. So we're taking a breath in. And as you breathe out, same movement as before, but this time we're also adding a curl up. So we're kind of we can use our band to help us get up. But then I want you to open the arms, and we're going to just send your left arm away and bring it back, and then send the right arm. So we're coming into a little gentle rotation, and then we're going to come back through center. So to start with, let's just roll the head from side to side. Make sure your neck is completely relaxed. Relax the shoulders, heavy ribs, heavy pelvis. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, draw in through the lower abdominals, pelvic floor, as you send the legs away and come into a curl up, and just open the arms. Squeeze those inner thighs. So the legs are quite high, we're not lowering them down anymore. We're going to open the left arm, just looking towards that wrist, and come back through center. Keep curled, open the right arm, come back through center. One more either side. You can do it. Let's open the left arm, deepen the abdominals, excuse me, and lift, and then open and lift, and back in through center. Well done. Just bring your knees through your chest. Roll from side to side. And then from here, taking the hands around the backs of the thighs, or if you know that you don't want to curl yourself all the way up, or you feel like that's going to be vulnerable, I want you to roll onto your side and press yourself up to sitting. Otherwise, we're going to just rock the hands into the thighs into the hands a couple of times and then roll ourselves up. You can, if you want, do a couple of rolls back and forth. So let's roll back and lift up again. Back and lift up. Make sure if it doesn't feel right on your mat, it might be that you need a little bit more of a cushiony mat. So don't do this if it feels like your spine doesn't love it. But then we're going to stay in our seated position. Don't worry, we get to relax quite soon. And I want you to come into a tall seated position. If you need a pillow or a block underneath your sit bones, then take one. So we want to be able to sit up nice and tall. What's really good about doing seated work, I know you're probably thinking, oh, I'm sitting down so much at the moment because it's lockdown, is to recognise how we can make a familiar position a little bit more healthy rather than just go back to slumping down whenever we're sitting. So finding your sit bones. See if you can plant the bony parts of your pelvis down. Send the heels away. So we're trying to lengthen out through the backs of the legs. But if you need to and that's really uncomfortable, then I want you to adopt a slightly more comfy position. So make sure maybe take a pillow underneath the thighs or bring the soles of the feet together. So whichever works better for you. We're going to lengthen the arms. Actually, it works better for you if you can see me here. We're going to lengthen the arms out in line with your legs. I always say, imagine you kind of resting the palms or the arms on the surface of water. So we want there to be a sense of substance in the air underneath here. So we're not lifting an area, we're actually kind of planting them down and allowing your crown of your head to lift up. Take a breath in, draw up through the abdominals here, just to find that sense of lift and hammock. And we're going to lengthen the back of the neck and reach the arms forward. So it's as if you're dipping your face into that water, but keeping the arms in line rather than lowering the arms down to the floor. Breathing in. Breathing out, imagine rebuilding your spine against a pole behind you. The shoulders reconnect into the back, the head lengthens up. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, soften through the back of the neck, lengthen, reaching forward. Even though we're reaching with the arms, I want you to feel that the shoulders are still connected to the body. Breathing in, breathing out, rebuild in line with the base of the spine. We've got one more, take a breath in. As you breathe out, reaching it forward and restuck the spine. And now for the next one, so let the arms relax down, just make sure your shoulders are nice and soft. For the next one, we can either stay in this hip width apart position, or if that really was uncomfortable, beginning to get uncomfortable and you prefer having the legs crossed or in a little frog position, come into this position. So it doesn't matter for which position you're in, it just sort of changes the experience slightly through the lower body. So you choose. We're going to lengthen the arms out by your side. We're going to lift the left arm up, relax the shoulders, plant this right palm, you're going to reach up and over. So it just feels a little bit different with the legs lengthened out in front of you. I want you to be aware of that left sit bone and make sure it's still planted. And then come back through center, lift that right arm, plant the left arm, and let's come over. And lift. So it's almost like we're kind of, if your legs are out in front of you, it's almost making it much more of an experience, like you're kind of sitting in a canoe. So it's less of an experience for the lower body and more just for the upper body. But you're still aware of that canoe. Now we're going to add to this slightly. So it's a familiar move, we've done it before, but just watching first if you need to. Reaching that right arm down, lifting up and over. And then we're going to bring the arm forward. So coming back into this spine stretch movement, the arm comes across, reaching the left arm and then into your side reach. And then back up through center. And then we'll change direction, bring that left arm down and over. We're going to come forward and then across. So it's just a little bit of coordination at first. We're reversing it each time, unless you feel that that's just too much for your brain, in which case please do go the same way. We've got one more either side. Reaching up and over. Keeping the abdominals really drawn in. So imagine when you're coming into this forward position, someone's pressing your lower belly back in towards the back of your spine. Finishing over to, I'm going over to the left, but that's, I think, even for me. So making sure you're even. And back through center. Bringing the heels together or adopting whichever position feels right for you. So either a kind of butterfly stretch forward, or you can simply come into a rest position. If rest position you need a pillow underneath your knee joint, then please take one. Breathing into the back of the body, so really noticing, particularly in the shoulder around the rib cage area, notice how you can massage that space with your breath, feeling maybe a little bit of stretching in that area. And then I want you to come back up to sitting. And let's all come into all fours from here just for a moment before we then move into our relaxation position. So taking the hands below the shoulder joints, the knees directly below the hips, relaxing the shoulders away from the ears as if you're poking your head out like a little tortoise coming out of its shell. Shoulder blades resting on the back. The neck isn't, the spine isn't collapsing, so we want to feel like that mid part of your body, that rib-hip connection is there. So drawing that lower abdominal and mid-abdominal section in and up softly. So we're not bracing, but I want you to feel like there's a soft connection supporting you here. Take a breath in, expand the ribs, expand into the lower belly, and then breathing out, lifting those muscles up and away from the mat. So it's the same muscles you've been finding all day, all session, but now we're working a little bit more against gravity, so it may feel different. Breathe in, soften. Breathing out, lifting from the lower belly. So imagine pubic bone drawing the engagement up towards the bottom rib, and then breathing in, let it soften. Last one like this, breathing out. So we're not moving the spine yet, we're just lifting from your pelvic floor up towards your obliques, the rib cage connects. And then maintain that lovely connection as you send your right leg away, and then lift and lower and bring it back. We're just going to do this 2 times on either side. Lengthen the left leg away, lift, lower. Notice how the whole body feels if it's disturbed by that movement. Notice if you can slide the leg in without having to adjust your torso in any way. We want to feel like we're just seamlessly replacing it, so there's no tipping or rocking of your torso. And back, tuck your toes underneath. Let's tuck your tailbone underneath, roll into a cat, roll, roll, roll. Allow the whole of your spine to undulate. And then when you're here, I want you to let your bottom start to rise up towards the ceiling and lengthen into your downward facing dog. Allowing the heels to soften down. Don't worry about the knees straightening. I'd rather the spine is lengthened. So we want this to be a spinal opening rather than a hamstring stretch too much. Breathing in. Breathing out, picking up the heels. Let's begin with the bottom. Send the bottom down, bending the knees as the tailbone comes down and you're coming back into that cat position. And then open the knees from here and lower that cat all the way down into your rest position. So maybe wrap the arms around you, let the shoulders totally soften. And then very slowly, when you're ready, rolling yourself up and begin to assemble yourself into your relaxation position of choice. So whether that's with a bolster, with your legs draped over the bolster, which is a really lovely position to switch off the hip joints. Maybe have a little pillow underneath your sacrum, which again is quite nourishing. So for example, I could have my bum lifted, maybe even with the knees in, legs up against the wall, or bolster pillow underneath my knee joints, whichever position you would like to choose. Make sure you're not going to get cold. So a little pillow, or sorry, a little blanket if you need one. And then just begin to choose to focus in on the rhythm of your breath. You can physically tune in with the hands placed on your torso if that feels nice for you. So maybe one hand on the heart center, the other on the lower belly. Or lengthening the arms out, palms unfurled, so really flattening through the fingertips. Relaxing those shoulders. Tuning into the rhythm of your breath, allowing the exhalation to release. So breathing in, soft, expand. Breathing out, heavy, surrender. Begin to softly tune in, not only to the breath, but to any tension that might be lingering around your joints. So try and release it away. So actively choose softness, soft forehead, soft jaw, soft cheeks, soft neck, soft shoulders, softness around your collarbone, heaviness and soft on the breastbone, releasing in your heart center, releasing through the base of the rib cage. Allow the hips to feel relaxed and open. The thigh bones just nestling in their sockets. And your feet, shins, legs, resting softly and heavily on whichever surface they are resting against. See if you can gently elongate the exhalation, trying to make it longer than your inhalation. Knowing that you're nourishing your nervous system, allowing it to reset. Your body is safe, comfortable, relaxed. And allow yourself the permission to stay here for as long as you need to. Making sure that you maintain this softness of the nervous system before you go to bed. So even if you have to go back to anything doing drive mode, see if you can come back to this soft reset rest mode for at least 15 minutes before you then go to sleep. Lovely to see you all. Stay here for as long as you need to, and I shall see you next week.